This year, 43 AD, the Romans launch a staggering invasion of the island of Britannia. The Han army, led by Ma Yuen, crushes the Trung sisters' rebellion in the south, and a duo of unfortunate events befall upon the kingdom of Goguryeo. Welcome to the Yearly Histories, where we will highlight the major events that take place in the Common Era, year by year. Last year, we saw Emperor Claudius coming out on top after an attempted coup, Mark the Evangelist starting a Christian movement in Egypt, and the Han general Ma Yuen commencing his assault on the Lac Viet rebels. One of Claudius's characteristics that we haven't seen fully emerge yet is his soaring ambition. He clearly believed in himself enough to closely ally with the unpredictable but powerful Praetorian Guard to come to power. This year, he finally launches his first major military campaign to expand his empire. In April, an invasion force of more than 40,000 Roman troops assembles in northern Gaul, readying themselves to cross the Channel into Britannia. The Romans under Julius Caesar saw some limited success on the island, being able to defeat local tribes in battle and establishing a foothold in the south, but these posts were abandoned after a couple years. This time around, Claudius envisions the Roman legions remaining there permanently. Aulus Plautius, an experienced commander, is at the helm of the invasion force. The casus belli, or justification for war, is to restore the ally of Rome and king of the Atrebates to the throne. In past years, he had been deposed by his eastern neighbors, the Catuvillani. Claudius jumps at their request for aid as a prime opportunity to permanently establish an imperial province in Britannia and enhance his personal prestige as a victorious imperator. In addition, the trade between Rome and these southeastern tribes of the Foggy Island has increased exponentially, so there is also a financial incentive to restore order in the Roman fashion. Before the expedition has even commenced, the stench of mutiny is in the air. The legions are haunted by memories of Caligula's embarrassing attempt to assault Britannia, along with the nightmares of the mysterious and barbaric druids of the island, who are known to use human entrails to see the future. Eventually, they come to their senses and embark off to land in the southeastern tip of the island. They are able to land and establish a foothold virtually unopposed, unlike the aggressive and hostile reception that met Julius Caesar's expedition. After securing this bridgehead, Aulus Plautius marches westward with his army. A duo of small-scale skirmishes take place, and subsequently, the first major conflict between the Romans and local tribes occurs. Along the river Medway, the Romans face off against tribesmen positioned on the other side of the water. The Britons had already destroyed the local bridge, but to their surprise, a unit of Roman auxiliaries is able to cross the river undetected. They assault their opponents' war chariots, and further down the river, a detachment led by Titus Flavius Vespasianus is able to hit their rear, but the Romans are unable to press on to victory immediately, and the first day of fighting ends without a conclusive result. On the second day, a daring attack led by Gnaeus Hosidius Geta almost leads to his capture. However, his troops rise to the occasion and put the Britons to flight, securing Rome's first victory on the island in almost a century. The Britons under the command of King Caratacus, who suffered serious losses, scatter towards the Midlands, where they intend to continue their guerrilla campaign another day. Aulus Plautius does not pursue, as his orders are to halt and call upon Emperor Claudius to come to the island to oversee the fall of the capital of the rival Catuvillani tribesmen, known as Camulodunum. Around 3 months later, Claudius arrives from Rome with reinforcements and, interestingly enough, some war elephants from Gaul. Aulus Plautius took advantage of the respite to reorganize the administration of the conquered territory, establish alliances with friendly tribes, and restore order to the war-torn regions of the island's southeast. Claudius finally arrives, and the march towards Camulodunum through the thoroughly pacified territory begins. Upon capturing the undefended settlement, Claudius celebrates a triumph, makes sacrifices to the gods, accepts the surrender of 11 tribal Briton kings, and establishes Britannia as a new province of Rome, with Aulus Plautius as its governor, before quickly departing for Rome. With the emperor's wishes satisfied, Plautius resumes his pursuit of King Caratacus to establish Roman control over the rest of the lowlands. We mentioned in 41 AD how the youthful wife of the emperor, Valeria Messalina, has developed a negative reputation for being ruthless and promiscuous. She saw the philosopher Seneca the Younger as a threat to her ambitions, so she was able to have him banished to the island of Corsica. This year, her target is Julia Livia, the granddaughter of Tiberius and the niece of Emperor Claudius, and her son, who Messalina sees as a threat to her own son's succession. She accuses Julia of incest and immorality, and Claudius, without hesitation, accepts the accusations, ultimately condemning her to execution. Not only are the borders of the empire expanding in Britannia, but also in the east within Asia Minor. Lycia has been ruled independently as a client state of Rome since 168 BC, after the Third Macedonian War. An agreement was made where Lycia would be governed by the Lycian League, a federal union of cities in Lycia. This year, Emperor Claudius has the Lycian League dissolved and the kingdom annexed into the Roman Empire, adding one of the last pieces of the puzzle in order to control the Mediterranean completely. Little is known about the background of the Roman geographer Pomponius Mela. However, his birthplace is known to be within southern Hispania. Despite this, he makes an invaluable contribution to the Roman Empire with his newly finished and extraordinary map of the known world in this time. Within his work, De Situ Orbis, he produces a map including most of Europe and large parts of Asia and Africa. He is able to define the western coastline of Spain and Gaul and its indentation by the Bay of Biscay more accurately than other famous geographers like Eratosthenes or Strabo, and his ideas of the British Isles and their position are also clearer than his predecessors. The previous year, King Vardanes of the Parthian Empire gained the upper hand in the ongoing civil war against his brother Gotarzes II, who also holds a strong claim to the throne. Vardanes and his supporters led an invasion of Mesopotamia that resulted in Gotarzes fleeing to Hyrcania, where he gathered his own support. This year, the conflict between the two sons of Artabanus II extends out to the region of Bactria, where an agreement is finally reached. Vardanes, in the stronger position, becomes the official king of the Parthian Empire, while Gotarzes, in the weaker position, becomes the ruler of Hyrcania, where much of his support lies. Though defeated for now, an ambitious man such as Gotarzes cannot stay idle for long. Last year in China, the Han campaign to defeat the rebellion led by the Trung sisters had commenced. In the last weeks of the year, the veteran general Ma Yuan's army crossed into Lac Viet rebel territory. At the start of this year, and after a treacherous slog through unforgiving terrain, the newly raised Han army finally reaches the Red River where the heart of the resistance lies, without meeting much opposition. Though in the spring, that changes, as Ma Yuan's imperial army meets the main Trung army near Long Bok, where they fight a pitched battle. The outmatched and inexperienced rebel army is routed by the battle-hardened general and his men. Queen Trung Tak herself is captured and immediately beheaded. Months later, her sister meets the same fate. The remainder of the year is devoted to mopping up the rest of the disorganized resistance. Ma Yuan works to destroy all remaining vestiges of the ancient Viet nobility's influence in the region, and tears away all past existing political authority from their chieftains, replacing them permanently with Chinese administrators. Most of the remaining members of the Lac clans are deported or flee to territory where Viet influence still prospers, and they are replaced by Chinese immigrants. Oppressed under the heavy hand of their Han suzerains in past decades, the Lac Viet rose in defiance, only to find that rebellion brought not liberation, but an even harsher rule. In the heart of the empire, Emperor Guangwu restructures the imperial succession by deposing Crown Prince Liu Jiang and appointing his son Liu Yang as the new Crown Prince. This is the very same son whom the Emperor primed for this title swap in 39 AD when Liu Yang was elevated to the position of the Duke of Donghai. but at this point, his name is also changed to Liu Zhuang because of traditional Chinese naming taboos and to better fit his role as heir. Liu Jiang is now reassigned as the Prince of Donghai. Now it's time for In Memoriam, where we look back on the lives of prominent figures who died in the year. The Trung sisters, Trung Trak and Trung Ni, were Viet women who led a major uprising against Chinese Han rule in 40 AD. Born into a noble family, they were well educated and trained in martial arts, with Trung Trak's husband reportedly killed by the Han, sparking their revolt. Rallying thousands of followers, they quickly took control of around 65 settlements, declaring themselves rulers and restoring a short-lived independent Viet state. However, the Han retaliated with a massive military campaign under General Ma Yuan, and by 43 AD, the rebellion was crushed. Both sisters were captured and executed. We will leave this year, 43 AD, with the Roman invasion of Britannia, its annexation as an imperial province, and the rebellion of the Trung sisters being crushed by Ma Yuan. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to be notified when the next iteration of the early histories will be released. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next year in 44 AD to continue the fascinating stories of the world of antiquity and cover its major events.